In this lesson, we're going to be looking at fractions and specifically what happens when we have the same number or letter or units in the top of the fraction versus the bottom of the fraction, and what happens. So we're going to do some example problems together. Here we'll start with this first one, looking at 4 divided by 4 and what that simplifies or what it calculates to be. So whenever I have the same number on both the numerator and denominator, they're just going to cancel. So they cancel out to 1. This is also the same thing. The same rule applies to variables. So x divided by x, both going to cancel to 1. So let's look at the next one. I'll have you pause the video and try to solve it on your own. Here we have 2y divided by y. The y's are going to cancel, and we're going to be left over with 2. Moving on to number 4 up here, we now have it separated. We have x times 2 divided by x. Well, what happens when I have two different fractions multiplied by each other? Well, you can actually combine the fractions. This would be the same as 2x divided by x. And then you're left with a problem that looks very similar to this one down here. So you can combine it and simplify. I'm sure you've done that in math class a lot. But or you can just say, hey, anytime I have something times something divided by something else, anytime I'm multiplying across a fraction, it's the same as it being part of the same fraction. So I have something in the numerator divided by something in the denominator. It's going to cancel, and we're left with 2. All right, so let's try this number 5 on your own and pause the video as needed. Here, it's something a little bit different. We have, instead of a variable or numbers, we have units. And so I have 100 grams times 1 mole divided by 75 grams. And we need to see what cancels. And I'm going to tell us that's the exact same thing with units. So this, just like numbers cancel when we have the same number on the numerator and denominator, variables cancel when you have the same on the numerator and denominator, but units do as well. So if I have 100 grams on the numerator and I also have 100 grams on the denominator, they're going to cancel. And we're left with this unit that's left over, which is moles. So I'm going to type that into my calculator, and I get 100 divided by 75. I get 1.33. And what is the unit that's left over? Well, we have moles. All right, pause the video. Let's try number 6 on our own. So here I have 7.5 moles times 125 grams divided by 1 moles. So moles are going to cancel. My unit is going to be grams, because that's what's left over. And then I'm going to type that into my calculator, and I get 7.5 times 125. I will get 937.5. grams, because grams is left over. All right, moving on to number 7. We'll make the things a little bit harder each time. We've got 700 grams times 1 mole divided by 150 grams times 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd atoms divided by 1 moles. You're going to be seeing this a lot, 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd atoms per 1 mole, or this unit could be anything. But that's because there's a mole is a unit of measurement, and there are 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd of whatever you're talking about per 1 mole. That's what we talked about last class. So here, I'm going to notice that grams can cancel. Moles can also cancel. And then I'm left with the unit of atoms. So my unit is going to be atoms. And I'm going to type this all into my calculator. And when I do, I am going to get an answer of 2.8 times 10 to the 24th. Atoms. And you might say, wait a second. I got, maybe you might have gotten 28.0 times 10 to the 23rd. That is the same number, but just if I'm being a little nitpicky, scientific notation, you're only supposed to have one number before the decimal. So since I have two numbers before the decimal, this is technically not written correctly. Some teachers care more than others, but just a heads up, when you're writing in scientific notation, only one number should be before the decimal. So really you should have 2.8 times 10 to the 24th atoms. All right, and just to make sure we have that typed into our calculator correctly, let's make sure we have that, we're typing that in correctly. So I have a TI-84 calculator here. I would suggest downloading one of these from your app store on your phone or finding one online. Here's what the one I'm using is called. It's really helpful to either be using a hard copy of like a physical copy of a TI-84 or a TI-83 calculator. Those are the easiest ones to use, because if you're not typing it into your calculator right, you're not going to get the right answer. And a lot of times it's really the calculator's fault. It's just reading the numbers you're typing in incorrectly. But do what you can to make sure that doesn't happen. And I would suggest by just the simplest way is to just use the same calculator that I use. So let's go to our calculator. And one thing that I want to point out is that when I type in something like 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd, the way that you're going to type it in is, let's clear this off. You write 6.02, and then there's a button on the calculator where it's 2 uppercase E's. Let me show you where that's at. So it'll be this button right here. We're looking for these 2 uppercase E's. That's the button you're going to press, and specifically, you're going to press this button first, second, and then this button. And you're doing that because the second's in blue, and then you're trying to reach this EE that is written in blue. All right, so let's do that together. So when I type in 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd, it's going to be 6.02 E 23. That's how I type in 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd. So that'll help us out a lot for this next question that we're going to do together right here, called where number 8. I have 8.05 times 10 to the 23rd so I'm going to type all this into my calculator. 8.05 times 10 to the 23rd times 1 divided by 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd times 233. Let's see how we type that into our calculator, because how you type it into your calculator is so important to get the right answer. If you don't type it into your calculator right, you're not going to get the right answer. So let's all use the same calculator, a TI-84 or a TI-83. They're pretty much the exact same. And let's type that equation into our calculator. So number 8, we have 8.05. So let's clear this off. 8.05. We're going to type second E 23 times 1 divided by 6.02 second E 23 times 233 divided by 1. And we get 311.5698. All right, so let's write that out. And let's see what units we're left with. So we got 311.57 and let's see what units we get. Well, particles are going to cancel. Moles are also going to cancel. And we're left with this unit of grams. Grams. So 311.57 grams. All right, let's try that again. Let's try another one here. We have number 9. And let's type this into our calculator. Make sure we're typing it in correctly. Anytime you see times 10 to the something, we're going to type the EE. You only type the E, the button is EE, but you only type, it's only going to show one E on the calculator. But the E means times 10 to the something. So let's do that. So we have 4.1 second E 24 times 1 divided by 6.02 second E 23 times 105. And we get 715.1. We get 715.1. And let's figure out what the units are. Atoms canceled. Moles canceled. And we're left with grams. So I'm going to write grams. All right, we have one more problem. Let's try to do this on our own and then pause the video and then check your answer with me. All right, we're trying this one out here. We have, I'm going to clear this, we have 3.5 second E 25. Oops. So meaning 3.5 times 10 to the 25th times 1 divided by 6.02 second E (23) times 48 divided by 1. And we get 2,790.7. 2,790.7. Let's see what units we're using. Particles cancel, moles cancel, and we're left with grams. So hopefully this video is helpful in seeing how to cancel units. That was the main point of this video. We can also see that just anything that's on both the numerator and denominator can cancel. But specifically for chemistry, that's going to be so important for understanding what units should be in your final answer, and to make sure you get the question set up correctly. One last thing that I want to add is on your calculator, you might say, well, wait a second, I have another E button, right? I have another E button right here. Well, this lowercase e is completely different from the capital E's, so do not use that one. Also, you might say, wait, I have another E somewhere else. I have another E right here. Well, that's because it's green because it's the alphabet E. So that's if you're trying to type a letter. So not what you want to use in either case. Whenever we're doing something times 10 to the something, this times 10 to the something, we're going to type the EE. So it's super important because I don't want anyone to miss a question because they typed something into their calculator wrong. All right, hopefully that video is helpful. Let me know if there's any questions in the comments or contact me.